So I'm hoping I actually have sound today without too much interference. And I think I do. Anyway, let's see. So I decided to start practicing by trying to do something in the morning. And these are meant to be, the description is important here. So I'm going to put stuff in the description that people can use. And I just wanted to go over a few highlights of what I've been doing and what I'm into and why. And I am all over the place. It's absolutely disgusting how untrained my mind is. I'm not going to go on camera because I kind of look like a starving raccoon crawling out of a discarded oil barrel with a 2-week-old hot dog in his mouth. And you don't want to see that shit. So anyway, let's see. So yesterday, I guess, Vadi Bakum died. And they made a whole bunch of posts about it. It was kind of sudden. He was 56 years old. One of the Answers in Genesis people. One of the posts, we are saddened to inform friends that our dear brother, Vadi Bakum Jr., has left the land of the dying and entered the land of the living. Earlier today, after suffering in a medical emergency incident, he entered into his rest and immediate presence of the Savior. How do they know that? How do they know which way he went? I don't understand what their criteria is, basically, how they're so sure of this stuff. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Left the land of the dying? Is that what they think our lives are? Is that what they think their children are doing? Living in the land of the dying? Kind of sad. Anyway, so then another thing that I have in my description is what is it? I'm trying to think. Apologetics Press puts out some things for children that I cannot show you at all because it's all copyrighted. But one of them, the one this morning, was Punctuated Equilibrium and the Cambrian Explosion. And they've got this Digger Dug, these little animated cartoons. And I think that, did I use that for my, I used that for my thumbnail. And it is cringy as hell. And they're talking about punctuated evolution, and they say that punctuated evolution is an idea that Stephen Gould come up with because he couldn't explain the fossil record. So he came up with this idea, just pulled it out of his ass, and no theoretical background. And they're telling the kids that this claim is that species evolved overnight, not taking millions of years. And that's what they call punctuated equilibrium. And it is cringy, and the stuff. This is meant for kids from, pre-kindergarten to grade school and maybe even into high school. And this is the kind of bullshit that they're showing us, right? And I watched a couple of videos yesterday, which were very, very interesting. And I linked those in my description. And the first one was Two Separate Realities, a conversation with a former Evangelical Christian fundamentalist, Tim Whitaker. And he goes over the lay of the land with this Christian nationalism that has infected the Republican Party and is being pushed and implemented by the Republican Party. Now, it's very interesting. The Republican Party is a party that I used to appreciate and like. Small government, good defense, government stays out of your bedroom, stays out of your rights, adhere to the Constitution with, just absolute rigidity. Constitution is like our Bible. And they have completely abandoned that, and they've gone to this new structure. And the reason I bring that up with the Digger, whatever the hell he is, the children's animation, is what they're doing to us. What they're trying to do with this attack on science and evolution, and you saw it with Trump and the Tylenol thing and Robert F. Kennedy. This is all an attack on science, and it has nothing to do with the science at all. It has to do with power. They're trying to weasel their way in and get us to deny academia, hate universities, pretty much hate regular mainstream science education, and using that, leveraging that to get this Christian nationalism platform pushed forward. And Rebekah here is doing nothing but that, even if she doesn't realize it. She'll say, "Oh, I'm not a Christian nationalist." Yeah, bullshit. The stuff you're doing is playing right into their hands, and that is really, really sad. So I link that one in the video, and that is on PoliticsGirl channel. And there's another one that is really remarkable. This one is done by, let me see here. Oh my goodness, that's the Python tutorial. I don't want that one. Okay, this one is done by MonteMader. She's a singer, but she does these remarkable videos. She did all of this research on the history of Christian nationalism, and just gets into the entire where apologetics happened and the history of the whole thing. It's just a wonderful video, and I've linked it in the description. And you should take a look at that. That is really cool. Might show you a little bit of that. But let's see. What I've been doing is I got kind of pissed off at Cornelius Hunter and Rebekah. And why did I get pissed off at him? I think it's this right here.
Has protein evolution been all figured out? Is getting proteins to evolve by natural processes really no problem for evolution? That is absolutely wrong. And I'm here with
Dr. Hunter to explain why it's absolutely wrong. And they had this video, and Andrew and I talked about this video in a little bit of detail, but there's a lot more detail to get into. Basically, Cornelius Hunter lost his shit when Eugene Koonin and Wolf came out with a new paper where they did a simulation of small protein evolution. And what they showed in the paper with a model, with basically a computer model, is that the protein space, the protein space would contain every possible protein, of 2 amino acids, 3 amino acids, 50, 100, all the way up. And it talks about the very, very early evolution of life. So it's right after kind of abiogenesis and before and during cellularity, when the first cells popped up. And all they were doing with the model is showing that this protein space has a lot more foldable proteins in it than our intuition would have us believe. And that's kind of an important thing. And so that set me off on this this path of, let me see if I can put my video up here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I want to get rid of that. And let's see, it's not the right one. Not the right one. Yeah. And this led me to get back into studying protein folding. And this book is An Introduction to Protein Structure, second edition, by Brandon and Tooze. And it's pretty cool. And it shows you basically when you have an amino acid sequence that it folds into these various, geometrical structures. Now, the creationists want you to believe that these are like some crazy God-designed machines that, work like with gears and pulleys and cylinders and wheels. And that is a total misunderstanding of it. And I think over the next few days, I may talk a little bit about proteins and try to get past the average person isn't going to study this shit, but I think there's only a few simple things that you need to know to understand what's going on here. And that is kind of what I've been into, and looking again at writing some models for protein evolution. And what we're interested in here is cell Cordova keeps going to topoisomerase and zinc fingers and all these other proteins that couldn't possibly have evolved from scratch. Well, they didn't evolve from scratch. They evolved from very, very tiny working molecules in a working living system. And that goes way back. And they keep conflating what is currently happening in evolution now with what happened in evolution prior to multicellularity in animals. And they even go back prior to cellular life. And they conflate the two as if you have to roll dice in order to get a 1,000 amino acid protein in just the right order. And you start out with a target that you want to get to this certain protein, and you got to keep rolling dice till you get there. None of that happened. It's just total misunderstanding. Anyway. So, and that leads me to something else I put in my, there's my folders. AlphaFold is something that Cornelius Hunter totally misunderstands. AlphaFold is an AI system where they came up and they classified, I think, hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of proteins and determined the fold using AI. And they trained it up on known folds, proteins that we knew about. I think we had about 6,000 figured out. And you do that with X-rays and a bunch of other stuff. It's a very difficult thing to do. But you figure out what this protein structure is going to be. And on top here, we can see the amino acid sequence. Each of these is one of 20 amino acids, right? And AlphaFold allows you to, I didn't want to do that. But let me see here. AlphaFold, where are you? You can look at the individual amino acids on these, these structures, right? And this is kind of cool. Let's say I want to reset this. Reset zoom. Okay. You can flip this around and take a look at it. And these little coiled things are called alpha helices. It's a certain way that proteins are very likely to fold up. And there's a lot of interesting things to be covered here. But this shows you how big one amino acid is. So that's one amino acid. There's the first one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got 10 amino acids. And you can see, well, maybe you can't see because, let me see here. Is that showing up? Yeah, it's showing up. Okay. So as I highlight them, it'll show you in the string up here, basically where that amino acid is. This is parvalbumin. It's a very simple protein that's in all of life. And what it does is its job is to grab calcium ions, and it works in our brain and in our muscles. And it does a whole bunch of other little jobs having to do with soaking up calcium ions. And to get something like this randomly, I hate that word, is not extremely difficult. I mean, it's not a big deal to get it to create a bunch of these little helices and to grab a calcium ion in the middle. But AlphaFold is a place where you can type in any protein and go look at it. And it's kind of cool. You can look at these helices and you can turn them on their end and look at them in different ways. And then you can also expand the hell out of this and do a bunch of other things. I wanted to show you that. Let's see, what else did I have in my description? Let's see here. Poor souls deceived by, Rebekah. Rebekah, bless her heart. She did this thing. Lynn Margulis is a really, really interesting woman who came up with a kind of a mix of crackpot theories and really good science. And she was kind of cantankerous, and she was like Dennis Noble, running around doing this rhetoric that Darwinism is dead, natural selection doesn't, natural selection and random mutation have very little to do with the evolution of life. Well, yeah, in the beginning, one could say that. Maybe. I don't know, you kind of make a case, right? But that's not what's happening, from when we split with chimps. So she totally latched onto this attack on Darwinism. And Rebekah, and Poor Souls Deceived by Evolution, Let's Talk. She mentions her book and comes up with a couple of quotes because she's cherry pickable. And it is just really sad how the whole thing is misinterpreted. And the other sad thing is that we have these, let's see if I can find this one. Okay. So Lynn Margulis. Okay. I asked, what kind of quack is she? She had a very unusual scientific reputation, both celebrated and dismissed. So she did endosymbiotic theory. She was the one that came up with the ideas behind where mitochondria came from. That, in our archaea, primitive single-celled organism ate a bacteria, and that became the mitochondria. And that was her work, and her ideas had a lot to do with that, if not everything to do with that. And she worked on microbiology. But she did this attack on neo-Darwinism. She routinely said things like mutation and selection explain nothing of evolution. And the creationists love that shit, right? So all of this, again, is misleading. And it's misleading because they want power. They want to push this Christian nationalism agenda. And they're going to do it by pulling the rugs out from underneath academia and science, and getting you to believe that you're this little island, this little small island of Christian believers who just love God and Jesus. And you're the only ones that know the right way to run a government and the right way to run a society. You got the right morals, that sort of thing. And that's really what it's all about. But if you listen to those two videos that I linked on the history of apologetics and Christian nationalism, you will learn a lot. It's absolutely incredible. And what else? I just wanted to show a few other things that maybe like preview. I don't know. Preview maybe. Let's see here. I want to go back. Okay. So there are 20 amino acids, right? And they're like little Lego blocks, and each one has its own characteristics. And these are some of the characteristics. Some are tiny, some are small, some are negative. There are positive ones. The negative and positive would fall into polar. That means they're magnetic, that they're like the two poles of a magnet, and they'll kind of stick to each other and stick to themselves in a certain way. And then we have hydrophobic. It doesn't like water at all. So those things are going to be on the inside of the protein when it folds. And then we have, where's water soluble? I don't even see it. Oh, aliphatic. Is that aliphatic? No, that refers to carbon chemistry a little bit. Anyway, let's see. I've got some other pictures here. This classifies amino acids. You've heard of lysine. They sell bottles of it in drugstores and convince you that if you take a whole bunch of lysine, you're going to live forever or whatever. Not going to happen. But anyway, so this shows you the nonpolar, the polar, which have a little bit of a magnetic or charge or stickiness. And then we have the negative and positive poles, which means a base and an acid. So this is a base and an acid. These are different ways to classify proteins. And why did I show RNA? This is an experiment I did with Python where I randomly created strings of RNA and sent them to a fold program and figured out how they would fold up. and how these things would attach. These are two different RNA molecules that end up glomming onto each other and creating a little bit of a machine. And every one I did had some sort of fold characteristic. This is a actual RNA that does something. This is the one that creates proteins, and you can see how it folds up. So this folding thing is very important. And these are the stickiness part right here, right? Where they kind of stick to each other in a certain natural way. And that is what protein folding is about. There's another one that I created randomly and sent to the fold software, and it came up with, that's how it would line up. It would create this little machine, has a little active area in here, and it's kind of cool. But they're ubiquitous, and I created these randomly. Here's another way to look at amino acids, and this one shows, I think, 22 of them, because it has the odd ones, but for all practical purposes, there are 20 amino acids that we have to worry about. This is how they fold, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And these are, we got 2 amino acids here, 2.5 amino acids, it looks like. And this kind of shows how carbon molecules and atoms get together, how they twist and fold. And this is kind of the beginning of the story, but we're not going to get into that this morning. Like I say, I'm practicing getting online by myself and talking and hoping that somebody will fucking listen to me. Anyway, another picture of amino acids that we can get into a little bit later. And here's another classification of amino acids. And another, I think. And I think that, and another picture of amino acids. And I want to talk about that. And now we're back at the beginning. So anyway, that's all I got this morning. What else? Maybe there's something else. I don't think so. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Like I say, my mind's going in 50 million different directions. Hi, Dave. And look at the trees and Evil Ginger. I hope you guys are still listening. The important part about this is please look at the description. Click on those videos, particularly the ones on Christian nationalism. Because, boy, are we fucking in trouble right now in this country. And we need to talk about this stuff. And it intersects with all of this science stuff as well. So there you go. Thank you all for listening. And goodbye, cruel world.